I wanted to go over a paper I read by Bhagat Singh, which was titled I Am an Atheist. He is from the early 1900s. He was a freedom fighter in India, and he was opposing the British government, and he eventually gets arrested, and that'll kind of be in this paper. So again, the title of the paper is explaining why he is an atheist, and I wanted to really walk through this because it is so telling of some very notable points. So let's go into it. It says, "It is a matter of debate whether my lack of belief in the existence of an omnipresent, omniscient God is due to my arrogant pride and vanity." He said that's up for debate. Well, this is often the claim that a lot of Christians will make about atheists. They say it is your pride that is blinding you. And this is something that is observed by those that are on the outside of us. And so actually, if you want to appeal to science, the observation is very important. And observation is very important for human beings, especially someone else observing us and maybe multiple people observing us and giving us feedback about things that we don't know about ourselves. But I'll dive into that just a little more in a second. It says, "I do not boast of being above these human follies." So he's admitting, I'm not above this. "I am, after all, a human being and nothing more. And no one can claim to be more than that." And I really want you to hang on to that because he's stating, I'm just a human being. You can't be more than that. I'm just a human being with, frailty and problems. Listen to that statement and then consider the conflict in quotes to come. So he says, "I have a weakness in my personality, for pride is one of the human traits that I do possess." Okay, so he is aware, okay, I do possess pride. And other people outside are saying, hey, your pride is blinding you. But at least he's owning up to it, right? "I am known as a dictator among my friends. Sometimes I am called a boaster. Some have always been complaining that I am bossy and force others to accept my opinion. Yes, it is true to some extent. I do not deny this charge." We can use the word vainglory for it. So, okay, if pride is blinding, then you seeing that you have pride should be, something. But then do you not realize the extreme here? Mr. Singh, do you not see how these complaints are coming from all kind of different directions? You don't just have one person accusing you where you can brush it off. It's like you have been accused of this multiple times. And all of a sudden, why is this atheist mind rejecting evidence? Okay. Because I have never been able to understand how unfounded, baseless pride or empty vanity can hinder a person from believing in God. I may refuse to acknowledge the greatness of a really great person only when I have got fame without doing any serious efforts, or when I lack the superior mental powers necessary to become great. Huge problems here. He's like, I've never seen pride blind anybody. I see pride blind people all the time. Go camping with people and tell them their secrets about when they're sleeping. Hey, did you realize you were snoring? I don't snore. What are you talking about? Only gross people snore like that. That's not me. Oh yeah, you were, and you had drool coming. No, dude, that's not me. What are you talking about? Hey, you pass gas in your sleep, man. No, that's not me. I wouldn't do that. Like, are you kidding? All the time, people ignore things or reject things from their reality out of the sake of pride. But he doesn't see how pride could blind him in the God matter. Also here he was saying, he says, I may refuse to acknowledge the greatness of a really great person only because basically I have become famous. I have got fame without doing any serious efforts or when I lack the superior mental powers necessary to become great. You should start seeing the conflict in this man's mind already. He's like, I'll deny that great men are great because I got my fame kind of accidentally, but yet the superior intelligence they have to become great, I don't have that either. So maybe they didn't. So maybe he was having doubts about why these men were becoming great. But why use the term great men instead of men who appear to be great? Why not clarify your thought unless that's what you're really thinking? And then on top of that, it's kind of like he's put people on pedestals. And there's some confusion here. He's like, well, men aren't great because I'm not great, but all of a sudden I'm a hero because I've been arrested for the things I've been arrested for. But I didn't really get here, by any serious efforts. Hang on to that as well, because this man is full of contradictions. He says at least a college student cannot cherish any sort of exaggerated notion of himself that may lead him to atheism. Okay, now he was just barely out of college. He might have even still been in college. He was like 23 or 26, incredibly young. Not much time to have thought formation. I'm not saying you can't be super and intellectual and insightful, but most young people don't have their thoughts together by then. And he says, it is true that I was a favorite with some college teachers, okay? Maybe had some rapport, maybe had some good questions, maybe had some, intellectual parade with them. But others did not like me. I was never hardworking or a studious boy. I never got the opportunity to be proud. So basically, he is saying that it isn't pride that blinds me. I mean, I never had time to be proud. Look at my college. Look at my college years. I wasn't that studious. It's a push-off, and it's hiding. And I see this often with atheist or atheist thinking, is that they will say that can't be possible, and like he did, point to an earlier time period, but you're fixing to hear about a later time period in his life when he says just the exact opposite. I can't be prideful because I really wasn't educated, but later you'll find out he's like, I'm educated. I began thinking over all the religious polemics such that I grew skeptical about the existence of God. In spite of this fact, I can say that my belief in God was firm and strong. This is like saying two things. That's black. No, that's white. You can't just say opposite things and then believe that it's totally reconciled. He said, I was reading these debates and I was becoming really skeptical, but I was very firm. The two are not synonymous. They are not equivalent. It was a turning point in my revolutionary career. An incessant desire to study filled my heart. Now, I think this is a key here, a key insight. Study, this is back to him, study more and more, I said to myself, so that I might be able to face the arguments of my opponents. Yeah, how many of us don't do this? How many of us aren't driven by pride? I got to have pride so that I can beat my opponents and what they say. It's a driving force. Here's another key, another reflection that it was pride that was blinding Mr. Singh. Study to support your point of view with convincing arguments. And I began to study in a serious manner. Now, before he was saying, I got my fame without even doing anything serious. But now he's like, I studied in a serious manner to get to my beliefs. My previous beliefs and convictions underwent a radical change. I got ample opportunity to study various ideas propounded by various writers. I studied Bakunin, the anarchist leader. I read a few books of Marx, the father of communism. Also read Lenin and Trotsky and many other writers who successfully carried out revolutions in their countries, all of them atheist. All of a sudden this guy's intent and his motives are beginning to shine. Like, I started studying in a serious manner, and then he named some heavy-hitting writers, right? Because I've read them, and I've not just read one of Karl Marx's books, I've read a few of them. And all of these were great men, great leaders. You should see the connection here, because he is connecting the revolution that he's in to the revolutions that they were in, and he's like trying to draw a parallel here. You know how these men were great. They were great, and I'm following in their footsteps. I am doing the same things. These great men, and they were basically becoming his role models. They were great atheists. The ideas contained in Bakunin's God and State seemed inconclusive, as all atheist arguments are. But it is an interesting book. After that, I came across Common Sense by Nirlambi Swami. His point of view was sort of mystical atheism. I developed more interest in this subject. This is one of my pet peeves. Mystical atheism is a cop-out. It is a shortcut. It is cheating. It is fraudulent. To say somebody is a human being is spiritual religious, they believe in the supernatural realm, the religious realm, but a mystical atheist, there's things that are mystical. Why are you attacking somebody for believing in the supernatural when you believe in the mystical? Those things are in the synonymous camp. They're equivalent. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. Oh, we don't need to be religious. You guys are religious, but I'm mystical. By the end of 1926, I was convinced that the belief in the almighty supreme being who created, guided, and controlled the universe had no solid foundations, or no sound foundations. Again, he was in his early 20s. In May 1927, I was arrested in Lahore. This arrest came as a big surprise for me. I had not the least idea that I was wanted by the police. Lie. It's just a lie. Bhagat Singh was trying to help, start a revolution. He had joined the revolutionaries that were willing to try to cast off British rule and domain. And one of the police in the area had beaten a leader by the name of Ra. I can't remember exact point, but anyway, he had something to do with the freedom movement. And the police officer had beaten this man so badly that he died. He recovered from his injuries, but he died not long after. So they were going to try to retaliate against him. And Singh was part of the assassination attempt. They got the wrong guy, but he assassinated somebody, and then he ran for his life. And then he did some other things. He threw some, I think there were some fake bombs that stirred up some leaflets, and he was chanting some things. But dude, he was stirring up people around him, and now he's going to tell the lie that I didn't have a clue that the police were looking for me. Why? Why is he trying to paint that picture? I was passing through a garden, and all of a sudden the police surrounded me. To my own surprise, I was very calm at that time. I was in full control of myself. I was taken into police custody. There's a reason for that, and it's very simple. It's just like the murderer that killed his parents and was on the run for 30 years, and then a police detective finally catches up with him, and the guy is like, oh man, I'm so glad you caught me. I am so tired of running. I'm so tired of hiding. I'm so tired of disguising my identity. I'll just pay the price for killing my parents and go to prison. Well, this is the same thing that Singh is experiencing. He has ran from his guilt for so long and has plagued him for so long. He's like, when the police finally catch up with him, it's like soothing. And so now he's being deceptive about his experience. The same day, some police officers persuaded me to offer my prayers to God. And this is later. These two sections aren't connected in the paper. This is just the next quote. So the same day, police officers persuaded me to offer my prayers to God 2 times regularly. I was an atheist. I thought I would settle it to myself whether I could brag only in the days of peace and happiness that I was an atheist. Now he's wrestling with something here. He's like, well, during the good times, I can be an atheist. What about during the hard times? Or in those hard times, I could be steadfast in my convictions. Now, why would this matter? Well, because the Christians did a fantastic display of this as they were being persecuted under emperor after emperor after emperor in the Roman Empire, as they're being fed to lions, as they're being chased, as their houses are burnt, as their places of worship are burnt. And they could stand in good time and bad time. And what an amazing role model they were to everyone else. Well, the atheists, pick up on this and like, well, we should be like this. After a long debate with myself, what is he debating over? I reached the conclusion that I could not even pretend to be a believer. After a long debate, he's like, can I be an atheist in good times and in bad times? Or maybe I should really pray right now. Maybe I should really pray in these circumstances, okay? He said, I reached the conclusion that I could not even pretend to be a believer, nor could I offer my prayers to God. Boom! Freudian slip, baby. I can understand pretend to be a believer, but if he didn't really believe in God, he would have said, or pretend to pray. Or why would I ever bow my knees to a fake God? Or why would I say fake prayers to the God concept or something like? No, he said, I'm going to stand firm, basically. I reached the conclusion that I could not even pretend to be a believer, nor could I offer my prayers to God. There's two simultaneous thoughts there. And the Bible tells us that we're going to be judged by every word that comes out of our mouth. And this is just a clear example. It's another clear example. I find these all the time in atheist writings. Nor could I offer my prayers to God. No, I never did it. It was a time of trial, and I would come out of it successful. Pride. Pride, baby. I can stand this hard time. These were my thoughts. Never for a moment did I desire to save my life. Then why the back and forth? Why the long debating with yourself if you didn't, can I do this or not do this? Maybe this will give me some favor with somebody. Maybe this will save my life. Never for a moment did I try to save my life. That's such a lie. So I was a true atheist. What is a true atheist? I thought atheists carried the whole... Who's he trying to convince here? Others or himself? He goes, I was a true atheist then, and I am an atheist now. I don't doubt that a person has seasons of atheist mindset. I don't doubt that at all. But I also 100% believe that they doubt their total atheist mindset at different times and struggle with it. It was not an easy task to face the ordeal. Now, you really need to hang on to this. Beliefs make it easier to go through hardships, and he is not kidding. Beliefs make it easier to go through hardships, even makes them pleasant. Man can find strong support in God and an encouraging consolation in his name. If you have no belief in him, then there is no alternative but to depend upon yourself. Hang on to that. Okay, hang on to it. Because he is saying, I'm not going to believe in God. That would just make everything easy. I'm just going to depend on me. Now let's see how long he hangs on to that. Okay, I'm not going to believe in God. This is all on my shoulders. It is not child's play to stand firm on your feet amid storms and strong winds. Okay, basically, he is going against everybody, saying he's going against the British government. He's also going against the populace around him that believes in multiple gods or different kinds of gods, etc. And he's going against all that. And he's saying it's not easy. In difficult times, vanity, if it remains, evaporates. See, he wants to take vanity and pride out of the equation. Evaporates. A man cannot find the courage to defy beliefs held in common esteem by the people. And I just saw another contradiction right here. Man cannot find the courage to defy beliefs in the common esteem by the people. If he really revolts against such beliefs, we must conclude that it is not sheer vanity. He has some kind of extraordinary strength. He has some kind of extraordinary strength. I thought he started off by saying, I'm just a man. I'm just a guy. I didn't study hard. I don't have much. I got here by, accidental. I didn't even know the police were looking for me. It was just this fame thing kind of happened. And I thought he said you couldn't be more than that. But now he's saying, no, like where I'm at, where this guy is, like it's not vain or pride. There must be something else inside. There must be extraordinary, something powerful about me. I must be like, in that Plato kind of scenario. This is exactly the situation now. First of all, we know what the judgment will be. It is to be pronounced in a week or so. He knows he's going to die. I am going to sacrifice my life for a cause. What more consolation can there be? He just says, I don't believe in God. Cast off God. I'm going to stand against everybody. But I'm going to give my life to a cause. That's not standing on your own. That's putting your belief in a cause. He'll actually name what the cause is here in a second. And this is all almost starting to sound like religion too, like a man is not enough in and of himself. He must have some kind of higher purpose. It's funny, he's gotten rid of the highest purpose and he's replaced it with another purpose, and we're going to name what it is in a second. A God-believing Hindu may expect to be reborn a king. A Muslim or a Christian might dream of luxuries he hopes to enjoy in paradise as reward for his sufferings and sacrifices. What should I entertain? I'm an atheist. What am I going to get? Atheist immortality. That's absolutely what he's aiming for here. He wants to say, I am more than a man. He's tried this false humility from the beginning. I didn't really study, and I don't know why the police were after me, and I don't know how I ended up in this predicament. And it takes a really strong person, like somebody of extraordinary strength. You get me? It takes somebody powerful to come through in this. And what should I entertain? Yeah, I want to be famous forever. I know what the end will be when the rope is tightened around my neck and the rafters move from under my feet. To use more precise religious terminology, that will be the moment of utter annihilation. My soul will come to nothing. If I take courage to take the matter in the light of my reward, I see that a short life of struggle with no such magnificent end shall be my reward. That is all. That's not what he's seeing. He states in the paper already, everybody that started a revolution was atheist. And they stood strong through really firm times. Without any selfish motive of getting any reward here or in the hereafter, quite disinterestedly, I have devoted my life to the cause of freedom. Here he is telling, in the first part, a literal lie. He is misdirecting. He said, without any selfish motive, I don't have any selfish motives for doing this. I don't have any reward here or in the hereafter, like the spiritual hereafter. But he's telling you he wants the reward of the hereafter. He wants everybody to know who he is because he's a man of great strength. I have devoted my life to freedom. What is better than giving out to a superior cause than yourself? It's like, oh, it's not just about me. It's about freedom. He has replaced God with freedom. Freedom has now been his God and his cause and fame over standing on these things. I could not act otherwise. Really, you couldn't act otherwise. Is that why you had this long, tumultuous debate with yourself? The day will usher in a new era of liberty when a large number of men and women, taking courage from the idea of serving humanity and liberating them from sufferings and distresses, decide that there is no alternative before them except devoting their lives for this cause. I'm motivating other people. They will wage war against their oppressors, tyrants, and exploiters, not to become kings or to gain any reward here or in the next birth or after death in paradise. Again, he's avoiding where he's wanting this to happen. But to cast off the yoke of slavery, to establish liberty and peace, and they will tread this perilous but glorious path. Can the pride they take in their noble cause be called vanity? Yeah. As far as the first question is concerned, I think I have made it clear that I did not turn atheist because of vanity. Only my readers, not I, can decide whether my arguments carry weight. I think you have conflicting thoughts. I think you're wishy-washy. I think you're conflicted. If I were a believer, I know in my present circumstances, my life would have been easier, the burden lighter. It's kind of like having a cause. It makes sure it's easier to die if you know you're standing up for freedom. My disbelief in God has turned all the circumstances too harsh. And the situation can deteriorate further. Pay attention to that. It can deteriorate further. Being a little mystical can give the circumstances a poetic turn. He says, if I think about it, and if I think about the metaphors in this and the implication of being a hero, it can kind of give me whatever. But I need no opiate to meet my end. I don't need no cocaine. I don't need no drugs to meet my end. I'm prideful. I am myself. I am the cause, except that I need freedom to be my cause. I need no opiate to meet my end. I am a realistic man. I want to overpower this tendency in me with the help of reason. Well, at least he's being a little honest. I mean, it always seeps out. He's like this. There's a tendency in me to be fearful and to think about God and to think maybe that prayer helps. And I want to overcome all this fear in me with reason. I am not always successful in such attempts. No joke. But it is man's duty to try and make efforts. Success depends on chance and circumstances. Wow. Okay, I'll just leave that there. Now another piece of manufactured logic. You asked me how I explain the origin of this world and the origin of man. Charles Darwin has tried to throw some light on this subject. Study his book. The reason I'm even putting this in here is I have people all the time say, so what? So what if Darwinian evolution is dethroned? Like, if it gets dethroned, what kind of stance does that take for atheism? Well, Singh here is like kind of basing his beliefs on this. Study his book. Also, have a look at Sohan Swami's Common Sense. You'll get a satisfactory answer. This topic is concerned with biology and natural history. This is a phenomenon of nature. The accidental mixture of different substances into the form of nebula gave birth to this earth. When? Study history to know this. I guess when you're backed in a corner, and he kind of backed himself in a corner when he's writing this paper, he's kind of, writing and thinking about what people will say, and he's like, well, just study history. There is no history of these things. This is conjecture. This is speculation. This is somebody's ideas. And reading up on that isn't going to confirm that evolution is true or that's how the earth began. The same process caused the evolution of animals and in the long run of that, read Darwin's Origin of Species. Okay. As regard the origin of God, or as in regarding the origin of God, my thought is that man created God in his imagination when he realized his weakness, limitations, and shortcomings. This is one that plagues me, and I'm just going to ask. Guys, how did monkey men create God so that other monkey men could, worship this God? Like, surely we were less thoughtful, less imaginative, less creative if we have developed over time. Probably back then we were a lot more physical, like a lot more, just common sense and just logic stuff and senses. And if that's the case, how did anybody ever believe when Ookie Bookie over there said, oh, there's something mystical and imaginary in my mind that y'all need to obey or you'll die? Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense, because if we were so practical, we were just over there carving tools out, and we're like, what's Okie Bokie talking about? We don't even know. So it doesn't make any sense how you could create God that way to begin with. And then, how does one create an imagination in themselves? Like, if you're so practical, sensed-minded, how did you come up with an imagination to begin with? But then, what gets me is, how do you know that your imagination is like the imagination of somebody else's, and you could ever change their imagination to be like your imagination? Total speculation. Goodness. Society must fight against this belief in God as it fought against idol worship and other narrow conceptions of religion. In this way, man will try to stand on his feet. Being realistic, he will have to throw his faith aside and face all adversaries with courage and valor. That is exactly my state of mind. I'm solid, I'm firm. My friends, even though I'm not always successful, going back over, my friends, it is not my vanity, it is my mode of thinking that has made me an atheist. Yes, it is definitely his mode of thinking that has made him an atheist. Cognitive dissonance. Thinking, I was firmly convinced in God. Well, I doubted God a lot. It couldn't get any worse. Things couldn't deteriorate any further. Well, things can continue to deteriorate. What? I don't think that my strengthening, I just jumped ahead of myself. I don't think that by strengthening my belief in God and by offering prayers to him every day, this I consider to be the most degraded act on the part of a man, I can bring improvement in my situation, nor can I further deteriorate it. He just said my situation can deteriorate further, but I don't think that believing in God or not believing in God could deteriorate it further. He's like, his thoughts are bashing against each other. He's conflicted. I have read of many atheists facing all troubles boldly, so I am trying to stand like a man, with head high and erect, even to the last, even on the gallows. You hear he said, this is my state of mind. I am solid in purpose and all this. And he said, I'm trying. He's conflicted. He's back and forth. Basically, his pridefulness was failing him. He's like, I can't believe in God. And he's got this back and forth tendency, and his pride began to fail. So he latched on to another concept, freedom. Okay, so I can't give my life for God. I got to give it for freedom. And so he latches on to the concept of freedom. And anyway, his atheism was falling apart in his final hours. If his is failing him, don't let yours fail you. Find out who God is. Seek him out. Seek him while he may be found.